Hi everybody and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Adam.
And we're on day 2 of our story article for this month. We're looking at the Edgar Allan Poe horror tale, The Black Cat. Okay, so how did we start off yesterday?
Well, we learned about a man that's writing a letter, but he says it's a horrible thing he's done as of late.
Yeah, he's done something really bad. And not only that, he's going to die tomorrow, and we kind of guess because of what happened, because of what he did. So now he's using this letter, maybe it's his last night, he's writing down everything. He needs to tell everybody about it, to remove this burden, to relieve himself of it, to get it off his chest. So he tells his story, but it starts off not that kind of story at all.
Right. The man seems very nice at the start of his story. He loves animals, looking after other animals.
Yeah.
He has a kind, full of love type style with his parents, and they got him many pets.
Exactly, and we said everybody knows him as this kind, gentle person who loves others, especially animals. And the man says this continued as he grew up. He still loved animals, and he married when he was quite young, and his wife liked animals too. So it sounds like a perfect story. Lovely marriage, lots of pets, lots of love.
Yeah, they were very happy together, and having lots of different pets, including birds, fish, a monkey, and a cat.
Okay.
So what goes wrong then?
Let's read on and find out.
Reading. The Black Cat. The cat, large and entirely black, was beautiful. It was my favorite pet. Pluto was its name, and we loved each other for several years. Unfortunately, during this time, my problems began. Each day I grew angrier and more irritated with the world. I drank more, I would often shout at my wife, and I made her feel miserable. For a while I managed to spare Pluto from my outbursts. The other animals suffered, but not dear Pluto. Alcoholism is a terrible disease, though, and it wasn't long before Pluto felt its effects. One night after I had been drinking, Pluto's presence made me angry. Upon being grabbed, the cat bit me, so I hurt it badly. From that moment, I disliked the cat and it feared me. A while later, I gained a new terrible feeling. I had the desire to kill the cat, so I did. The sin of killing made me feel good. I couldn't deny that. I almost slept well that night, but then something strange happened.
The article starts by saying the cat, large and entirely black, was beautiful.
Okay, so we know that they had a cat. He mentioned this amongst this list of different pets. And we know the title of the story is The Black Cat. So we kind of guessed that it was going to be involved somewhere. We know it's a big, beautiful black cat, and the article, the writer says, it was my favorite pet. So of all these different animals, the monkey, the rabbits, the goldfish, it's the cat that he really loves the most.
Let's see why. Going back to the article, Pluto was its name, and we loved each other for several years.
Oh, okay, sounds very nice. Pluto, of course, it was a planet when I was growing up.
Me too.
Not a planet anymore. Also, the name of the dog, Mickey Mouse's dog, is Pluto, isn't it?
That's correct,
so,
yes.
I wonder if the Disney people took this idea, and I hope not, because Pluto's a very nice dog, and this story isn't going to be that nice. And here's where things really start to go wrong. So the man talks about his cat, they love each other, but then the article says, unfortunately, during this time, my problems began. Now, this word or this sentence starts with the word unfortunately. It's an adverb, and it signals that the next thing we say is going to be bad. It's the sort of thing we'd say before giving bad news, telling people about a terrible event. telling people there's been an accident. You know, we played very well, unfortunately we lost. You know, I'd just like to phone you, unfortunately there's been an accident. It's that kind of thing. It's just saying, prepare yourself, there's going to be bad things coming.
Oh wow, this character is in for some problems now, it looks like. That is not good. Let's see what happens next. Each day, it says in the article, each day I grew angrier and more irritated with the world. Right here we have the word irritated, which is an adjective. When you feel irritated, you will feel annoyed or bothered by someone or something. So when I was younger, I used to be irritated because my little sister would always come into my room and take my toys and play with my stuff.
Oh no.
And so I was very irritated at her.
Yeah, you get irritated sometimes when you haven't had enough sleep.
Oh, yes.
Or if you're hungry, people will start to get irritated. It's just, it's not super angry, you're just bothered. You're unable to kind of just relax because something's always on you. So we don't exactly know why this happened. If you want to know more about the man's problems, you can find the book, have a read of it. Maybe it's to do with his job or life or something. There are lots of things that could make you irritated. But what we do know is the results of the man's problems. So let's read about the man's problems and how he reacts to them. The article says, I drank more, I would often shout at my wife, and I made her feel miserable. Now, in this context, when we say drank, we don't mean like more tea, more water. We mean he's drinking alcohol. He's drinking wine or something stronger, the kind of things that people might do when they're stressed and not dealing with their life. So he's getting drunk, he's causing problems, and he's making his wife miserable. If you are miserable, this generally means you are very sad. Something or some things are going on in your life that's making you just super sad all the time. We could also use it to mean uncomfortable. If you were standing out on a rainy, cold day waiting for a bus and there was no shelter, you would say, oh, this is miserable. I'm miserable right now. It's not the kind of sadness that's going to last a long time. As soon as you get inside or on the bus, you will stop feeling so miserable. But right at that moment, you are miserable. But in the woman's case, in this story, the wife's case, she is just getting up every day thinking, oh, it's so terrible, my poor life. I'm not happy anymore. She is miserable.
As we continue the article, it states, for a while, I managed to spare Pluto from my outbursts. Here we have the sentence or phrase or verb, manage to plus verb do something. And we do know that as a phrasal verb, so it's to succeed in something that is not easy to do. You could say the pilot managed to fly his plane through the typhoon and landed safely.
Wow, that's a pretty difficult thing to do. So he says he managed to spare Pluto. In other words, he kind of felt like, I just need to shout at something and maybe kick my animals, but it was difficult and I spared Pluto from it. If you spare somebody from something, you don't let that thing affect whoever it is you're sparing. For example, you might spare your friend telling them about a bad secret about you. You might say, I don't want to let him know, it'll upset him. I'm going to spare him the details. I'm not going to tell him. You might spare some young people from finding out some of the uncomfortable truths about the world. You don't tell them, hey, there's a war in Ukraine. Hey, millions of people died during COVID. You spare them that knowledge until they get older. So here he's saying, maybe I was angry at my wife, I made her life miserable, but I tried not to let my mood affect Pluto. I tried to protect Pluto from my outbursts.
And there we have our word, outburst, which is a noun. It's a quick or fast expression of an emotion. So in the story, the character didn't want Pluto to see him angry, see his angry emotions. So he didn't want Pluto to see his outbursts.
Right. We could say an outburst of joy, couldn't we?
We can. You can have an outburst of joy as well.
Yeah, or happiness. You could have an outburst of sadness.
Right.
Anything that kind of comes very quickly. But we do often think of it, if it's just by itself, as a bad thing, don't we?
Usually, yes.
Okay, so we read on. The other animals suffered, but not dear Pluto. So we kind of read here that he's maybe not treating his other animals well. He's yelling at them, he's throwing things at them, he's making them suffer. This verb to suffer means to experience something bad, something sad, something unfortunate. Could be painful, it could be really, really bad. You could just say, oh, I'm suffering from a cold.
That's
so
true, yeah.
I feel sick, I've got a runny nose, I want to go to bed. Or you could mean real suffering where people are hungry, that people are getting injured and so on. For example, many children suffered during the war. Some were hurt, others lost their families. So yeah, he's treating his wife badly, he's treating his animals badly, but he's trying to keep Pluto safe, his favorite pet.
All right. And in our article, it states, alcoholism is a terrible disease, though, and it wasn't long before Pluto felt its effects. Here we see the word alcoholism, and alcoholism is a noun, which is a disease or medical condition in which a person drinks too much alcohol. So basically, a person that drinks too much every day is maybe an alcoholic.
Right, so the alcoholic is a person and alcoholism is what we call the disease or the problem.
That's correct.
Okay, and this isn't something like, okay, he had too much to drink on a birthday. This is like a real, everyday, early morning problem.
Right, with your morning coffee maybe, and then before bed, and then throughout the day.
Right, so this man is suffering from alcoholism. He's drinking too much, and it's not long before Pluto feels the effects of it. To feel something's effect is to be affected by that thing. Something's going on and you suffer the consequences of something. You might say a city could feel the effects of an earthquake. It happens, buildings shake, there was some broken glass, maybe one old building fell down. You would be feeling the earthquake's effects. Here, Pluto's feeling the effects of his master, his owner's alcoholism. He's avoided it, the owner's been trying to treat him gently and treat him differently, but in the end, it does go bad.
It's creeping through. So our article then continues by saying, one night after I had been drinking, Pluto's presence made me angry. Here we have the word presence, which is a noun. It's a person or thing in a certain area or in a certain place. So for an example, you could say, sometimes when I'm home by myself, I feel that I am in the presence of ghosts.
Oh, you feel the ghost presence in the house.
I do. If all the lights are off and I'm sleeping, maybe I hear a noise.
That's creepy.
Ugh.
So what the man is saying here, Pluto didn't do anything here. It wasn't making a noise. It wasn't scratching the furniture or doing all the kind of naughty things that you full well know that cats do. It's just, he's in the room. I'm suddenly angry with the cat. And this is his drinking affecting him. So we see in the article, upon being grabbed, the cat bit me. So I hurt it badly. So the man tries to pick up the cat, like, you get out of the room, I'm angry with you. And the cat bites him, and so the man really badly hurts it. Now here we're going to look at today's language in focus for this sentence. So the sentence pattern we're using here is on or upon, and then you add a V-ing form of the verb. Doesn't matter if you use on or upon, they both mean the same thing. And this pattern is used to say that as soon as one thing happens, something else happens as a result. So we do put it with another clause in the sentence that says the result. So we could say, upon arriving at the airport, the passenger checked in his bags. And we can reverse the order here as well. The passenger checked in his bags upon arriving at the airport. Now, when we do this kind of sentence and we put the on or upon clause first, we use a comma to separate the clauses. When we put the result first and the upon part second, we do not use a comma, something to pay attention to. Now, we can use the phrase as soon as in the same way. As soon as the passenger arrived at the airport, he checked in his bags. Now, in this case, when we use as soon as, we put the noun or the pronoun in both clauses. One advantage of using the upon or on plus VING clause is that it doesn't need to contain the noun if the subject of both clauses the subjects of both clauses are the same. So you might say, for example, upon hearing the result of the game, all the soccer fans cheered wildly.
Continuing with the article, we see, from that moment, I disliked the cat, and it feared me. There we see the word dislike. Dislike is a verb. It's a stronger word for saying don't like. So I could say, as soon as I met my new neighbor from upstairs, I disliked him.
Oh dear. Or, to use the grammar pattern, upon meeting my new neighbor from upstairs, I disliked him. So it's an example of how we can use that language in focus. So he loved the cat, and then they kind of had a fight where the man grabbed him, the cat bit him, the man hurt him. And it gets worse from here. The article says, a while later, I gained, or I got, a new terrible feeling. So something's really getting into the man's head, this drinking, this problem drinking, and he's got a new terrible feeling. What is that feeling?
Oh, well, that feeling, it says in the article, is I had the desire to kill the cat, so I did.
Oh my goodness.
There we also see the word desire. Desire is a noun. We talked about the adjective desirable on day one. Here we see the noun desire. It means your strong hope or wish. If you have a desire to do something, you really want to do it. For example, Paul has been practicing soccer since 2 years ago. He has a strong desire to win the game next week. He really wants to win that game. He's practiced really hard. He has a desire to win it.
Okay, so the man has killed his beloved cat. Can't believe that. That sort of just came out of nowhere. This man has gone crazy. He's got this beloved cat and he's killed it. But then we read, the sin of killing made me feel good. I couldn't deny that. So here he's talking about a sin. A sin is an act that the original meaning is that it goes against the beliefs of a religion. Like some religions say you can't do this thing, you can't do that thing, you can't pray to other gods. All of those are sins. Now these days we use the word sin to mean anything that's kind of a really bad act, something that is against sort of normal morals and what society believes. So killing people is a sin, certain other acts, really taking advantage and abusing other people or animals, that would all be classed as a sin in modern society, that kind of thing. So we could say, for example, many religions will consider it a sin to have a child with someone you're not married to. And that's an example of how actually a lot of societies now will say, you know what, that's not the worst thing in the world. As long as you love the child and take care of it, great, the marriage is less important. What would be a sin would be not treating the child well.
That's correct.
So the man said the sin of killing this cat made him feel good. He couldn't deny it.
Oh, and that brings us to the word deny. Deny is a verb, and it's used to say something that is not true or to refuse to accept something. So the speaker in the story felt good after killing the cat. He couldn't deny that he had a good feeling afterwards. So here we could say, for an example sentence, there is a growing number of people who deny the world is round. They believe it is flat.
That's crazy.
I know, it's a growing trend where they deny that it is flat and...
They just say, no, it's not flat, it's not true, or it's not round, it's not true. That is just bizarre. Okay, so the man feels good, and he accepts that, like, yep, it did feel good. And we see in the article, I almost slept well that night, but then something strange happened. And that's where we're going to leave day 2. A big cliffhanger. What is this strange thing? Okay, the man killed the cat, and that's really bad, but is it going to get him thrown in jail and executed? Is that the reason why he dies tomorrow? We've got a lot of questions to be answered, but we need to wait till tomorrow to answer them. Let's now go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So today's For You Chat question is, have you ever become so angry that you've done something bad without thinking? If I'm thinking about it, have I done something so bad?
It says talk about it. I have certainly every now and again got really angry with something. I've done something bad without thinking. Usually it involves me like punching a wall or something stupid like that. So that's about as bad as it's been. I haven't hurt other people. I've usually just hurt myself by punching the wall, maybe breaking not a bone, but maybe knocked some of the paint off the wall, or if I try to really be careful because I know I don't want to really break anything. I've got to look for something where I can. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to get the anger out that way. Put it that way. But yeah, I've definitely punched a wall or two. Anything you can think of?
Not recently, but I remember being younger, I used to skateboard a lot.
Oh, cool.
So I would try a trick over and over, and I couldn't land the trick. So sometimes I would take the skateboard and just smash it without thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
And then going to my mom saying, Mom, can you buy me a new skateboard?
Oh, yeah.
And she would not.
She would not, no. She probably shouldn't have as well if you went and broke it.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's a natural thing to do bad things without thinking when you're angry, but it's always best to just do something like count to 10. Try and control it. Do something, take a breath. But that's all we've got time for today. Join us again tomorrow for this scary, exciting, horrifying part 3 of our article. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Vocabulary Review.
Suffer. After receiving treatment for a while, Kate was no longer suffering from her sore back. Presence. Joseph feels nervous at social events, so he often brings his dog. The dog's presence helps him feel comfortable. Dislike. Ethan dislikes talking on the phone. He prefers to speak to people in person. Desire. Sophie's greatest desire was to lead her country toward a more peaceful future. Sin. Maggie had done some bad things. She went to church to ask forgiveness for her sins. Deny. The president has denied doing anything wrong after secret payments from the government to a company were discovered.
智慧小补帖
Unfortunately. Irritated. Miserable. Spare. Outburst.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net